What's up, guys? It's Max. It's just going to be me today in this video. Unfortunately, me and Johnny don't live in the same city, so it's just going to be me. But I'm excited for this video. I'm excited for a lot of you guys to watch it. I'm really going to go in and kind of give you an overview of how hybrid training works. I'm going to talk about how I did it and how me and Johnny help others do it as well. Okay, it's going to be shouldn't be too long of a video. I'm trying to keep it short because all of you guys always complain about how long my videos are, but I mean, I'm giving you a lot of information. I can't cram it into a 1 minute video like Reels. All right, so fix your attention span, put it on 2x speed, get Subway Surfers popped up. I don't really care what you do, but we're going to go ahead and dive on in. So, a question that I get asked a lot is how to balance endurance training with lifting, with running, with cycling, with doing triathlons, even while working full time and not looking like a twig. Okay. A lot of people think that it isn't possible. You can either get strong or you can build endurance, but at the end of the day, that's really not true. And you can definitely do both. You just can't do it randomly. All right. I did this myself, and I'm actually going to go into that later in the video, so I'm not going to spoil it all right now. But anyways, so who we are, right? Before I get into any of this, give you guys a quick introduction in case you don't already know. My name is Max. Obviously, I run ATNIP Performance with my twin brother, Johnny. He's actually the one that started the business. I like to say that he's the brains behind the business and I'm the looks because it's really all I have to offer. No, I'm just kidding. But Johnny, he has a strength and conditioning background, Division I level, as well as a master's degree in public health. He has years and years of experience working with high-level athletes, helping them improve performance, strength, and conditioning. He's also invested so much money into his education that, it's kind of ridiculous. So that's why we wanted to put this all to use, right? Helping other people. And then I personally come from more of a business, real world side of things, working full-time in sales, training for endurance events, cycling, triathlon, running, lifting, figuring out how to actually make this all work with a normal schedule, right? And together, like I said, we help people build the structure around their training so that they can get in shape, perform at a higher level, and balance it with real life, right? Just for a little bit of social proof for you guys, because I know you're probably guessing. This is my transformation. All right. I did this in the span of, I want to say it took less than a year to make this. I don't have the exact date. I can probably pull it up if you're really curious. But this is what Johnny helped me do. Okay. He gave me the structure when I used to look like this. I wasn't training at all, or I was just randomly training. And he gave me the structure. I put in the work, and I was basically his first client, right? I was his little lab rat, and he programmed all my strength sessions, all of my cardio sessions, everything. Okay. And he helped me get this transformation. He helped me train for my triathlon. He helped us train for our century bike race. He helped me train for my metric century bike race, his own marathon. The list goes on. Okay. So what's the problem? Right? The issue about hybrid training, and I use that term loosely. I don't really like the word hybrid training. It gets thrown around so much nowadays, but you got to call it what it is, I guess. So either way, the issue is doing it without a plan, right? Most people just train too hard in everything. They lift hard, they run hard, they ride hard, train every day, 6 or 7 days a week, and you don't recover properly. They probably don't eat enough, and you just build up fatigue. You get burnt out, and you get stuck, right? The common misconception is that I just can't handle that much training. And, maybe if you're a beginner, obviously you're not going to be able to be cycling 100 miles a week, lifting 5 days a week, 3 to 5 days a week, running, 10 plus miles a week, which isn't even that much, but you get the idea. For a beginner, it is. And that's usually not true. Okay. It's not a capacity problem. It's a structure problem. If you can organize your training correctly, your body is going to be able to handle a lot more load than you think. Typically, when it comes to this sort of stuff, your mind is the limiting factor. Your body can always go more. So this is what most people try to do, right? If you're watching this, you're probably trying to do too many things at once. They call it, like I said, a hybrid athlete. I just call it being an athlete, right? That's what I wanted to get into, because that's what athletes do is they perform, okay? building muscle, improving endurance, staying healthy, performing at a high level, and still managing to have a real life, have balance, be able to work a full-time job, be able to enjoy your time with your friends. And at the end of the day, that's a lot. And that's really why structure matters. I hope you guys like my images on some of these slides. I'm not going to lie, they were generated by an AI because I didn't know what to put, but it's better than nothing, right? So, key principles. Drink some water. Our bodies respond to signals, all right? Signals to build muscle, signals to build endurance, signals to recover. Everything is mixed together. If everything is mixed together with no structure, your body isn't going to adapt efficiently. It's going to get tired. Okay, this is where overtraining comes in. You can't just constantly train and train and train and expect your body to get better, because if it's tired, you're just going to build up fatigue and you're going to do more harm than good. So strength training, all right? A lot of endurance athletes, not so common nowadays, but a lot of them skip strength training, all right? Or they don't structure it properly, and this is a huge mistake, all right? Strength training is the foundation of every good athlete. And I was actually asked why recently. I did a podcast recently and he asked me why. And I couldn't give him a good answer because, like I said, Johnny's the brains behind everything. But he helped me build this slideshow and he helped me tell you guys what to say because he couldn't be here. So the truth, why strength training is the foundation of every good athlete is because, simple as it is, weak things break. All right. Muscles, joints, connective tissues, if they're not strong, that's going to be your limiting factor. Strength is going to build that durability that you need to be able to do endurance sports and to be able to be a high-level athlete. It keeps you going longer and it allows you to go harder without getting hurt. Okay, if you are fresh off the couch, haven't lifted any weights, haven't ran, and you go run 10 miles, you're going to get hurt. All right, at the end of the day, that's how it works. This is why strength training and structure is extremely important. And so I'm going to talk about a lot in this slideshow is structure. Okay. Structure is the most important thing that you can have as an athlete, because if you're just guessing what to do, if you're just hoping that it works, it's probably not going to work, or it's probably not going to work as well as it could if you actually knew what you were doing or had somebody telling you what to do who does know what they're doing. Okay. So power output. This is huge when it comes to strength training. The biggest benefit of strength training for endurance athletes is power output. Okay. The stronger you are, the more force you can produce, and the more force you can produce, the more output you can sustain over time. This is how you get faster, right? It's not just running for more miles, it's producing more power over those miles. Like when it comes to cycling, you can go 200 miles, but if you're doing 100 watts for 200 miles, you're not going to go as fast as somebody who's doing 200 watts for 200 miles, right? That's common sense, but that's just something to kind of put it into perspective for you guys. So strength training obviously improves a lot more than people realize. Like I said, power, it also is going to improve efficiency, joint stability, bone density, explosiveness, injury resistance, the list goes on, okay? It's going to improve every single aspect of your performance, and I'm just going to list a couple of ways which you could potentially structure this, and this is kind of where we come in, right? That structure I keep telling you about. These are just, brief examples for you guys because I'm here to help. The upper-lower split. One way to structure your lifting is upper lower. All right, 3 to 4 days a week. This is going to work really well if your main goal is to build muscle and still run and ride, because you can push intensity, you can recover between sessions, and you can keep progressing. So this is more of somebody who's like, not necessarily looking to do full Ironmans and be a professional endurance athlete. Right. This is kind of somebody who's like, okay, I just really want to be in shape. I want to be strong. I want to look good. I want to be able to run. I want to be able to ride my bike. I just want to be able to look good and feel good. The next one, and honestly my favorite split, this is what I do right now. This is what me and Johnny are doing right now. This is what I did for my triathlon training. This is typically what I do is a full body split. So full body training, 3 days a week. This is what I do. This is what I did. And this works really well for when you're really pushing that higher endurance volume, like with triathlon training, with high level cycling training, whatever it is, marathon training, that sort of stuff, because your endurance volume is going to be so high that if you're trying to lift, 5 days a week, you're going to fatigue. All right. These full body workouts, you're hitting every muscle every session. It's just less volume. All right. So it's going to be balanced and it's going to be easier to recover from when your cardio volume is that high. So when it comes to choosing your split, if your endurance volume is higher, full body, like I said, it's going to work better. If you're prioritizing strength and muscle a bit more, you really kind of want to have, that jacked look. Upper lower is probably going to work a little bit better. But at the end of the day, both work. And the key is choosing what fits your training load and your recovery. It's where me and Johnny come in, right? And I realize, okay, my face is going to cover a little some of these sometimes. So you're just going to have to deal with it because not much else I can do. Sorry. Training focus. No matter what split you use, the focus should be on compound movements. Squats, deadlifts, RDLs, split squats, pressing movements, pulling movements. You want movements that are going to give you the most return. So we're training for strength. We're training for progression, not just fatigue. And, as any high level athlete is going to tell you, you're not lifting to look better. All right. You're training to build these athletic qualities, and the looks, they're going to come along with it. All right. Strength, power, control, stability. The goal is really to become more capable, not necessarily look better. You're not trying to be a bodybuilder. You're not trying to get up on stage, right? This is what's going to carry over into your endurance performance. All right. So if you do want to do bodybuilding, good for you. We can do that as well. But at the end of the day, we're talking about endurance. How to structure your cardio. Obviously, everything in life needs structure, whether it's at your job, whether it's training, whether it's weightlifting, cardio, fucking your day, whatever it is, you need structure, okay? You're not going to be able to go hard every day. That's how you're going to burn out. You need to train with purpose. So the cardio framework, simple structure, one long session, one interval or threshold session, and one recovery session. All right. Everything else is going to be built around that. And, obviously if you're training for a triathlon, an Ironman, some of those higher intensity endurance stuff, it's going to be much different because, there's brick workouts involved, there's swimming involved, and that's really just a whole nother can of worms, right? The long session builds your aerobic base, that zone 2 stuff. It improves endurance, efficiency, and just your overall ability to sustain effort for a long period of time, right? This is your foundation. It's going to challenge you, but it's not going to destroy you, all right? You should get home at the end of these sessions and not feel completely dead, right? The interval session, this is where you're going to build your speed and your power, all right? Higher effort over a shorter amount of time, sprints, threshold work, harder efforts, like I said. This is what's going to raise that ceiling, all right? Your FTP, if you're running, if you're cycling, your running power, if you're a runner, it has to be controlled, all right? Too much of this is going to kill your recovery, especially if you do it later in the day. Still, honestly, with every training session, you shouldn't come home feeling completely dead, all right? That means you're probably going too hard. You should come home from your training sessions and still feel like, okay. Obviously, you're going to be tired, but you shouldn't be like, oh my God, like I just, like how I feel after a race or something like that, where you just left it all out there, right? One of the most important, the recovery session, all right? Recovery sessions, massively underrated in my opinion. Low intensity, low stress, just helping your body recover, absorb the harder work, that sort of stuff, all right? Most people, they skip these and they just add more intensity because they think, oh, I'm not doing myself any good with just running at a 12-minute pace or whatever it is, and that's a mistake. I'll move it this time so you guys can actually read it. So what's the goal here with this sort of training? It's power endurance, okay? If you're really trying to compete, trying to be at a high level, you're trying to be the best, you're trying to win, this is what you need, all right? Excuse me. This is what's going to make you faster. All right. It's your ability to hold a higher output for a longer period of time. And I briefly mentioned this at the beginning, but this is how you win. All right. You're not just trying to survive. You're just trying to produce more over a longer period of time. And that's how your training should move. All right. Recovery. All right, recovery, like I said, extremely important. All right, this level of training really is only going to work if you get your recovery locked in. Okay, recovery, it's not an option, it's part of the program. And I personally am extremely strict on that. And I'll go into the next slide right now. This is what I do personally for recovery. So we're going to kind of cover everything, move that where you can see. So for me personally, recovery, it includes getting good sleep, drinking lots of water, electrolytes, stretching, using the foam roller, using a massage gun, using air compression boots if you have access to them, using a sauna if you have access to it, getting a massage on occasion if you can. These aren't extra, but it's really going to help you manage that fatigue. Okay. I personally sit in the sauna. I try to do it every day, but I don't always get to it every day. Air compression boots, I'm lucky enough to have a gym that has them, which is extremely helpful. I sit in those as much as I can. And I foam roll, I massage gun almost every night, stretch almost every night, and I sleep really well, prioritize sleep. I don't drink alcohol very often, occasionally on the weekends, whatever. And I stay hydrated. Obviously, I'm fucking chugging my water right now because I'm talking so much. Why recovery matters, all right? Your your body is going to improve when you recover from your training. All right. If your recovery is poor, your performance drops, your injuries increase, your progress stalls. You're going to feel like shit. You're not going to sleep as well. Your body's going to hurt. You're going to start getting pretty bad injuries if you're overdoing it, and you just can't afford to be doing that when you're doing this much volume of training. Okay. Nutrition. All right. This is huge. I get a lot of questions about nutrition all the time because honestly, it's one of the harder parts of training, you know, is knowing what to eat, knowing how much to eat, finding what works for you, that sort of stuff. You're not going to be able to train like this and undereat. All right. Obviously, you need high protein, you need enough carbs, you need high quality fats, you need food that's going to support your performance. Even if you're underfueling, everything's going to break down. All right. Read through the slides, some information in there. 1 gram of protein per pound of body weight. Carbs, they're extremely important. That's what keeps your body is an engine, right? That's what gives the engine fuel, basically. Oh, working full time. All right. You saw my transformation in the beginning. I did that while working, 40 plus hours a week at a desk, long days, burnout, fatigue, didn't like it, whatever. Training for a triathlon, running, biking, swimming, all of it. All right. I wasn't just doing shit randomly. All right. This wasn't built around a perfect schedule. It worked because it was simple. All right. I didn't guess. I just showed up every day, showed up long enough for the results to come. All right. That's the thing. You have to just put in the work. It's going to take 3 months. It's going to take 6 months. It's going to take even longer for some of you. All right. You just have to show up. Why people stay stuck? They don't lack effort. They lack structure. They have the information, but they don't have a system. They're doing random workouts. They're doing random cardio. They have inconsistent habits. They don't show up for themselves. Nothing connects. The list goes on and on and on and on and on. All right. So what works? Obviously, like I said, let me move this. Fucking A, dude. Like I said, structure. Structure is what works. You need a system. You need a system that fits your lifestyle. You need a system that fits your goals. Strength training, endurance training, recovery, nutrition, it all works together. And, you can do your best to put something together for yourself with all the information out there on the internet. I'm not saying not to, but oftentimes people start to realize that it's much easier to consult somebody who knows what they're doing. And it kind of just removes the guesswork. It removes the stress. It removes you asking yourself, is what I'm doing working? You can't always be sure, right? So this is where me and Johnny come in. Right? This is exactly what me and my brother help people with. We don't just give workouts, we give them structure. We do it based on your goals, your schedule, your lifestyle. That way everything works together. All right. It's not going to be a one-size-fit-all plan. We're not putting shit together with AI. We're really helping you We use Training Peaks, right? So if you have a Garmin or whatever sort of wearable you have, it hooks up to that. So we can track literally everything. We give you nutrition plans. We can be hands off if you want us to. We try to be hands on. I mean, that's what you're paying us for, right? This is where we come in and people love it. All right. Yeah, obviously it costs money, but this is an investment and it's going to pay dividends. I promise you. We already have so many clients that can agree. You know, you can look at our Instagram, look at our client testimonials. I don't need to sell you. All right. But I'm just saying, you know, Johnny is really good at what he does. I'm really good at what I do. And together we're great. You shouldn't have to choose. All right. The belief that serious endurance training and meaningful strength work are mutually exclusive, I can't talk, is simply wrong. All right. And that's what we're here to prove. When you do it correctly, these goals don't compete. They reinforce each other. Strength, endurance, performance, physique. You know, if you see other people out there doing it, right? So why can't you do it? That's really what it comes down to. And that's what I tell myself every single day. If they can do it, I can do it. Final takeaway, you don't need to choose between strength and endurance, like I said. You don't need to do less. You just need to do things correctly. You need to train with intent. You need to have structure. You need to prioritize your recovery. You need to make sacrifices. You need to feel properly, and you have to stay consistent. That's the biggest part. All right. You got to show up. It's going to be hard. You're not going to want to do it sometimes. But 6 months from now, you can either have 6 months of progress or 6 months of regret. It's your choice at the end of the day. That's what I got for you guys. All right. That was pretty brief. Pretty solid overview, though. I try to cover everything, try to make it as short as possible. But like I said, it's hard. All right. There's really a lot of information here. There's a lot of information that I want to give you guys. And I just want to help, like I said, at the end of the day. So if you want to work with me and Johnny, so I just added this in for you guys real quick. If you want to work with us, this is my Instagram right here. You should already know what my Instagram is, honestly, if you're watching this video. DM me at ATNIP, okay? And we can talk more in there. There's also going to be a link to our Calendly, my calendar, in the bottom in the description of this video. So you can go on there as well and just set up a meeting right from there, and then we can talk. All right? I'd love to help you guys. I'd love to answer any questions that you have. That's what me and Johnny do for a living, okay? And we're here to help. We're here to see you guys succeed. And thank you for watching. I hope you enjoyed this. I hope you found some value. Please like the video, subscribe, check out my TikTok, my Instagram, everything. All right? Have a good rest of your day. Thanks for watching.